everybody, my name is Elizabeth and I am a librarian here at the LSC-Tomball Community Library. Welcome back to Baking is Making. Today we're going to be talking about pour over coffee, which is my preferred coffee brewing method and allows you to brew a cup of coffee using just hot water and gravity. If you think that you're not a coffee lover, then this is definitely a method that I would recommend, as it strives to make your coffee very clean and refreshing, and it's not at all bitter. And if you are a coffee lover, this is a great way to really get the most out of specific types of beans and specific types of roasts, as each cup of coffee will taste different depending on the beans and various other factors that go into the brewing process. So let's get started. Alright, so the very first thing that you're going to need is, of course, coffee. For a pour over, you are going to want whole beans, not pre-ground coffee. This is because the way that a pour over brewer works, you're going to be able to really taste your coffee. So you want it to be nice and fresh so that you can get as much of the flavor as possible. Going off of that, you're also going to need a coffee grinder. This is a hand grinder. These are great, they're relatively cheap, and with a little bit of elbow grease you can get freshly ground coffee. Basically what we're looking for is this, which is a burr adjuster. This is a burr coffee grinder, and what that means is it crushes the beans as opposed to cutting them with blades. This is going to get you a much more consistent grind on your coffee than something that would look more like a food processor, which is what a lot of coffee grinders actually are, essentially. Next, you are going to need a kitchen scale, preferably one with a timer function. But if you don't have one with a timer, that's totally fine. You can use a normal kitchen timer or the timer on your phone. And we're going to need a hot water kettle, preferably one with this long, they call it a gooseneck. And essentially why you want something like this is it lets you pour the hot water much more slowly, and you get a much more controlled and even pour. So this is going to ensure that all of your grounds are extracted at the same rate. And what that means is you're not going to end up with some pieces of your coffee that are way overboiled and some that are not. So you're going to end up with a much more consistent coffee. This one is actually a variable temperature model, which means I can go ahead and set it to the temperature for coffee, which it says is about 205 degrees Fahrenheit. These are a little bit fancy. You don't need to do that. If you have just a standard electric kettle or a stovetop kettle, just go ahead and boil your water and then set it aside once it boils for about a minute, and that'll bring it down to a temperature that won't burn your coffee but will still be hot enough to extract all that delicious coffee juice. Next, you're going to need your actual pour over. This is the one I have. It is a Chemex. And with your pour over brewer, you are going to need coffee filters. Maybe. Some pour overs don't need coffee filters. The Chemex does. And it actually requires Chemex specific coffee filters, which can be a little bit of a frustration. But in a pinch, I've used just normal cone-shaped coffee filters as well, and that works basically the same. So use your discretion there. And of course, lastly, you are going to need a coffee mug. Just use your favorite mug. It doesn't really make a huge difference unless you are using a mug top pour over, in which case you obviously want to make sure that the mug you're using fits the pour over brewer that you have. So that is our full setup, and let's get started making a delicious cup of coffee. Alright, so the very first thing that you're going to do is measure your coffee. I found that generally most standard coffee cups take about 18 grams of coffee, but if you get a new mug and you're not entirely sure how much to use, typically what I will do is I will take the cup, fill it with water and weigh it, and then I'll divide that weight by 15. Generally, the ratio you're going to be looking for is 15 parts water to 1 part coffee. Obviously, if you like your coffee stronger or weaker, you can change that ratio up a little bit, but I found that generally that is what works for me. So So I went ahead and already put my beans in here and I ground them. It's a pretty simple process. You just take your whole beans, put them in the top here and grind away. The one bit of guesswork is getting the grind right. So this one is adjustable and you're looking for a grind that is semi-coarse, so not really fully coarse big pieces like you would want for something like a French press, but also not super fine like you would want for a percolator or drip coffee, something kind of in the middle. I found that it looks a little bit like kosher salt, so pieces that are big enough so you can actually see them, but not super fine like sand. So this is my ground coffee, so you can have a look at it. You can see there's still kind of visible chunks of coffee in there, and that's more or less what you're looking for. If you make your coffee and it's really strong, you probably ground your coffee too fine, so just adjust it and make the grind a little bit thicker, a little bit more coarse. Also, if it's too weak, you probably made your grind too coarse, so just adjust as you go. The great thing about the pour over is it's really flexible, so you can make your coffee kind of however you like. Just give it some wiggle room and some trial and error. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and heat up our kettle, and we're going to load our filter into the Chemex. So I've got my Chemex here and a Chemex filter. It looks kind of silly. It is actually just a single piece of pretty thick paper. So what you're going to do when you put it in, turn it on the side so it's like a diamond, and then pull one of the edges out like this. So you'll see that here there is sort of one piece of paper, and over here there are three. So you want to take the side with three and you're going to put that into your Chemex facing the spout. So now that our coffee filter is nice and clean, we're going to add our coffee in. So I'm just going to dump that right in here. And then the water in my kettle is still hot, but if yours has cooled down, just go ahead and reheat it. It's not a big deal. So the first step of actually brewing your coffee is a little strain, and you're going to need your kitchen scale again. So I've got my coffee in, and the first thing we're going to do is bloom it. So what we're going to do is we're going to pour just enough hot water over the coffee so that all of it is covered in water, and we're going to leave it for 30 seconds. And what this is going to do is it's going to release any air that's still trapped in the beans and also start releasing those oils so that we can really taste the flavor of the coffee. So I'm going to turn my scale on, and I'm going to pour some water over this. So just enough so that we get all of the coffee covered. All right, so it's really not a lot of water at all. I'm gonna start the timer and I will show you. You can see there's kind of some bubbles forming, and that is the air and the gases from the beans being released, and those oils as well. So we're gonna leave that to sit for a few more seconds. It looks like it's all drained. If that happens before the 30 seconds, just add some more water. Alright, so now that our coffee has finished blooming, we are going to move on to the real finesse of the pour-over brewer, which is pouring the coffee, and it's why you need the gooseneck kettle. You want to pour it really slow in kind of a circular swirling motion for about a minute at a time. So pour enough so that all the beans are covered and there's a little bit more water to drain through. Leave it, and then when all the water drains, pour more. It's not really an exact science, and it's the kind of thing you learn as you do it. It takes a little bit of practice, but like I said, even a cup of coffee made from a pour-over that isn't 100% perfect is still going to taste really good. So it's the kind of thing you will enjoy making errors, because you still get a really delicious cup of coffee, and when you do get it right, you will have probably the best coffee out there, in my opinion. So let's keep pouring and we will be basically done. I've got my coffee mug here, and so let's pour this beautiful coffee. Alright, so there it is. This is our finished pour over coffee. Let's give it a taste. Yeah, that's delicious. The great thing about pour overs is once you get your routine down right, every cup of coffee you make will basically taste the same. So you get excellent consistency, and if you've got high quality beans, this is really the experience that you're looking for from your coffee. Yeah, that's really, really good. Thank you for watching this episode of Baking is Making. I hope you've learned a new way to switch up your daily coffee routine, or maybe add a daily coffee routine if it's not something you already do. Be sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube so you can catch all of our Baking is Making tutorials and our other wonderful online programs. I would recommend checking out Uncommon Grounds by Mark Pendergrast. It is a great book on the history of coffee, so you can learn a little bit more about your favorite caffeinated beverage while you drink it, and you can check that out on ebook and audiobook from the Harris County Public Library. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.